So I've been getting questions every now and then on some Q&As in the past several months about my music CD collection. It's pretty humble, it's pretty short. It's like, I don't know, I think I have like 30 or 40 CDs here, 50 max, but I want to show it to you guys. I know most of you don't care about that because this has nothing to do with JRPGs or video games in general, and I'm gonna start with Tool. This is the only Tool CD that I have. I wish I could have Anima, whatever it's pronounced. That's my favorite Tool album. This is Tool, and I got this on, I was in the UK, I think, for like $2 used. And it's almost in mint condition. I mean, this has a few ruptures in there. Yeah, the sleeve. This is Lateralus, considered by many as the best Tool album of all time. And it's pretty cool. What I like about Tool is that they do this kind of like weird covers, I know my camera quality is garbage, but maybe you can still see some of it, appreciate it a bit. Yeah, this is the manual. Instead of being a regular manual with credits and lyrics, this is it. That's Tool for you. Tool is a great band. It's probably one of my favorite bands of all time. Maybe not top, obviously not top 5, but maybe top 10. I'm a big fan of Tool. So yeah, I wish I had more CDs, but the problem with Tool is that they have a lot of okay, I live in Mexico, so a lot of their albums are usually expensive. I mean, that was expensive for a long time, so it's always been expensive. I've never been able to find any Tool CDs for a reasonable price. They're often like $20 or $15, and I think that's too much for a CD. I mean, aren't CDs outdated? Nobody cares for them anymore. They should be cheap as fuck. Or maybe they're starting to become retro. They are retro already, and they will go up in price instead of going down. Oh shit. Fear Factory is also one of my favorite bands of all time. I like Fear Factory more than Tool, and this is the only album that I have. I wish I had more, but Fear Factory, same as Tool. They're all imported. They never print them here in Mexico, so therefore all of them are expensive as fuck. So yeah, that's too bad. This is obsolete, considered as one of their best albums. To me, personally, it is the best album, up there with The Manufacturer and Mechanize. I love Mechanize. And yeah, cardboard case, little manual here. Pretty cool. Fear Factory, massive fan. And this album includes my favorite song of all time by this band, which is called Resurrection. So of course I had to have it. And Tool, this doesn't include my favorite song of all time. My favorite Tool song is Eulogy, which comes in Anima, whatever that. Okay, so now it's time for me to show off my 9 Inch Nails albums. There are several of them because that's my favorite band of all time, so of course I have most of them. I have most of the main releases. I have missed on some of the several past releases, unfortunately, the latest ones. So this is the first album, Pretty Hate Machine. This is the standard version. Love this album, one of my favorite 9 Inch Nails albums of all time. It aged masterfully. Great music here. The second album is considered as an EP, even though it has 8 songs, almost as if it was an LP. EP stands for extended play. I don't know why they call them that. But anyway, this is Broken. There was also a remix album in blue colored. I didn't get that one. I got this one. This is one of the first albums that I got. In fact, this is the first album that I purchased. I don't know, but this is the album that introduced me to 9 Inch Nails. I went to a music store one day, a record store one day, and there was this, and they have a bunch of other CDs you could listen to for free. You just put the headphones on and you listen to them, and I started listening to this one and it blew me the fuck away, and I was like, man, where has this band been my whole life? Even though when I found out about them I was like 14 years old. So anyway, Broken, amazing album, one of my favorites. Then there's the Downward Spiral, the third album. This is 9 Inch Nails' masterpiece. Allegedly, it's a fantastic album. It's not one of my 3 favorites, but it's up there. I love it too. And yeah, this is the album that threw 9 Inch Nails into commercial and massive success. This is a regular edition, you know, it's just a cardboard sleeve and the album with the manual. The manuals are important too for CDs, not just for games. And finally, okay, there's more, but we finally have arrived to the Fragile. It's a pretty beat up copy, you know. It's I'd love to get it like mint condition, sealed, and never open it, just to collect it. But this is my original copy from like, from like 20 something years ago, just like broken. Man, the Fragile is my favorite Nine Inch Nails album, and no, it's my favorite music album of all time. Period. I love it, man, and it includes my favorite song by the band, and that's called La Mer, the sea. Amazing. And then the next album was with Teeth. And these came afterwards. Well, there was another album in between. It's a live album called And All That Could Have Been. I don't have that one. I'd love to have it. And this is with Teeth. Yeah, pretty cool cardboard edition. There's a song in here that also gave Nine Inch Nails an even bigger jump to mainstream success, and that's The Hand That Feeds. Probably nowadays the most popular song by this band, along with Hurt and Closer. And next, they released Year Zero. It's this one, another cardboard edition. Look at this. Nine Inch Nails always criticizing politics. Look at this. The church and the gun. The Bible and the gun. America. Yeah, this is Year Zero. Very conceptual album. I love it. This is in mint condition. I bought it brand new when it came out. I remember when this came out, I immediately took the bus to the record store and bought it right there, day one. Yeah, oh my god, I'm such a fanboy. And then two more albums came out. One of them is called Ghosts. It's a compilation of instrumental tracks. I didn't get it because it was always fucking expensive, and still freaking expensive. I don't have it. And then there was a free edition of a free album called The Sleep. It did get a physical release, kind of like a special edition. Also fucking expensive, so I never got it because there was no standard edition. And then finally, Hesitation Marks. This is from 10 years ago. It's the 10th anniversary of this album. This is also cardboard, you know. Pretty good album, kind of underrated. A lot of people... Nine Inch Nails got a lot of... well, not a lot of... I mean, some bad reviews because of this album, but I don't give a shit. I fucking love it. And then some new albums and EPs came out, and I didn't get them. And now, on to my third favorite band of all time, and that is Deftones. Same with Nine Inch Nails. All of the past few releases from the past 15 years, I don't have them. But I have all the ones from the 90s and early 2000s. So Deftones, this is Adrenaline. I had this CD a long time ago when I was little, but I sold it. And then when I was in England, I got it back for like £1. It's a pretty decent condition, you know. In pretty decent condition. This is Deftones' first album. Did you know that Deftones is a band that started out in 1989? But they didn't release their first album until like 6 years later. Or 5 years later. I mean... that must have sucked for them back then. But hey, it was worth the wait. They became a really popular band. Their second album is Around the Fur. Hopefully YouTube won't demonetize this stream because of this cover. But yeah, this is Around the Fur. My favorite Deftones album. My favorite song is included here. It's called... I've never been able to choose between Lotion and Damone. Damone is a hidden track. But I love both of them passionately, and I know them on the guitar. Deftones, Around the Fur. And then their third album is the masterpiece White Pony. This is the album everybody knows, because Around the Fur threw Deftones into commercial success, but only in North America. And this is the one that got them like mainstream success worldwide. White Pony, amazing album. And then their fourth album is the self-titled Deftones. It's just simply called Deftones. Great album, love it to death, and then I didn't get any of the following albums. I want to get most of them, and they aren't expensive. Well, most of them aren't that expensive, so I'll probably get to that. But you know, I don't want to start getting back into music CD collecting, because then I will have two collections to worry about, video games and CDs, and I'm not sure if I want to do that. Okay, let's get on with yeah, right. I guess I'll cover this one. I don't have Gish. Oh man, no, I don't have it anyway. So the Smashing Pumpkins. I know it's kind of unusual. You look at me and you're like, he likes the Smashing Pumpkins. I fucking love the Smashing Pumpkins, but I love the Smashing Pumpkins before they broke up the first time. After that, I don't know. We'll get to that. So the first two albums, I don't have them. Fuck, I know. Yeah, two of the best grunge, well, alternative rock albums of all time, and I don't have them. And I had my chance when I was in Canada. I could have gotten them for like $5, and I didn't get them. I strongly regret that. But anyway, I did get the infamous Pieces Iscariot. I don't know how that's pronounced in English. I don't know. This was supposed to be kind of like a third album, but not a main album. Kind of like some kind of like B-sides album, and they included a lot of songs that didn't make it to the first two albums, and they're here. And it's a great album, pretty underrated, perhaps the most underrated record by the Smashing Pumpkins. And then they released the popular Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. This is the album that also threw them into like worldwide massive success. It's a 2 disc record. Pretty interesting art, like really old art style. I like that. Billy Corgan has always been into that, like really old art style and stuff like that from the past. He's a hipster, maybe. Oh man. My favorite Smashing Pumpkins song, though, comes from their most infamous album that kind of like, it got bad reviews back then, but then it became kind of like a cult album that everybody likes nowadays, and that is Adore. It's a pretty beat up copy of it because it's the first Smashing Pumpkins record that I got. I got this from my brother. He bought the album, he didn't like it, and he sold it to me. And that was like 25 years ago, I think. And I fell in love with it, and this album helped me through depression when I was like, how old was I? Like 18? Yeah, I was 18 years old, and I got into severe depression. And even though this album is pretty fucking depressive, it was there for me, and I kind of like got sad listening to it, but somehow I pulled through, and it's somewhat thanks to albums like this one. Music never betrays you. Real music, not the fucking crap from nowadays. And my favorite song by this band, well, it used to be Behold the Nightmare, but I guess I'm gonna have to stick with For Martha. Favorite song by the Smashing Pumpkins. And then there's this single. I don't collect singles, but back in the day, bands used to release them, and we know like 1 or 2 or 3 songs, and this is the single of Ava Adore. But I like the other 2 songs that come in here way more. Sarina and Once in a While. Once in a While is one of my favorite Smashing Pumpkins songs of all time. But that is just a single. Yeah. In low resolution. Anyway. So then they released another album called Machina, the Machines of God. I never got it for some reason. I'd love to own it. And then the band broke up. And 7 years later, they reunited for Zeitgeist. And because I was such a fucking big fan, same with 9 Inch Nails. The day this album was released, I immediately took the bus, went to the mall, got into the record store, and bought it day one. And it disappointed me. This is not a great record. It isn't bad. It's just kind of forgettable. Like nowadays, right now, I can't remember a single track. I know the names, like I have it right here, right? But I can't remember how a single track sounds. It was a huge letdown for me. And this is what made me say, I'm not a fan of the Smashing Pumpkins anymore. Great band, and they have released a few songs in the past several years that are pretty good, but most of their modern work, I don't know, man. It was kind of like they went into a different direction. Okay, so where are my The Cure albums? Well, we'll get to those later. So I want to talk about this album. This is Cocteau Twins. This is Heaven or Las Vegas. I love this band, but I'm not the biggest fan, but I'm a huge fan of this album. I've listened to all the other albums and records by this band, Cocteau Twins. They don't exist anymore. She's one of my favorite singles of all time. Her name is Elizabeth Fraser. Beautiful fucking voice, man. Probably my second favorite female singer of all time. But this is the only album that I really like. The others, all of them have like 1 or 2 songs that I like, and the rest are kind of like, eh. Yeah, but this is a masterpiece, man. Heaven or Las Vegas. Oh my god. This heavily influenced my first book. I was listening to this album over and over when I was writing my first book. The Deadlights is a band that no longer exists anymore, and they only released this album. And it's a new metal band, but it's pretty unique because of the singing. The singing is kind of like, you know, kind of like on the, I don't know how to say that in English. But it's kind of like a female voice, but it's not, like the guy's a guy, and the guy's a guy. The singer is a guy. And I love this fucking album, and this band had a great future. Unfortunately, the band members fought. They couldn't solve their differences, and they went their own way. That's sad, and they only released this one album, which is a masterpiece, amazing album, Deadlights. There's another band simply called Deadlights, not to be confused with them. This is the Deadlights, and rest in peace. The singer died some years ago. So yeah, rest in fucking peace. Okay, so my trilogy of Silverchair albums. Yeah, that's right, believe it or not, I'm a big fan of Silverchair. From the 90s, again, this is another band that went to a different direction and then broke up. And the music the singer does nowadays and has been doing for the past like 10 or 15 years, I can't get into it. It's too pop for my taste, and I don't like it. And this is the first album, Frog Stomp. I think I also got this in England for like £1, which is like $1. Yeah, on one of those Goodwill stores. It was just sitting there, dirt cheap, and I picked it up, Frog Stomp. This is their first album, and can you believe the guys were like 15 years old when they released this? Amazing grunge band from Australia. Oh yeah. And then their second album, Freak Show, blew me the fuck away. Oh my god. I didn't mention my favorite song from Cocteau Twins. That's Cherry Colored Funk. And then the Deadlights, I'm gonna have to go with Sweet Oblivion, which was the single. And when it comes to Silverchair, this one probably has my favorite song. And I'm gonna have to go with... Fuck. There's so many good fucking songs here. Same in the next album. But yeah, I'll just go with... No, I don't think I have a favorite Silverchair song, man. I can't decide. Can I just pick Slave? Slave is the first track from this album. And it's a great grunge band. And a great grunge track. And finally, Neon Ballroom was their third album. This was fucking excellent too, but this is when the band started to take a different direction. Kind of like some tracks are hardcore grunge here, but others, more than half of the album are ballads. And you could tell that the band itself was heading into a different direction. They didn't like the heavy sound anymore. And they went to like more like a pop rock approach, and then their next album was just like that, and the next one same, and I didn't get them, and that's when I said, you know, that's when I dropped the ball. I was like, man, it's over for me. Silverchair, those 3 albums, but the rest, I see nobody's talking in the chat. Either the chat disappeared or you guys are finding this showcase pretty interesting. Let me know. There we go, somebody talked. Okay. Man, I want to get to this band. I've known this band for probably like 20 years, but I never became a fan until probably 6 or 7 years ago. This is Killing Joke, and this is the best fucking album of all time. This came out in 1985. You guys don't know this band, but you probably know the comic book from the Batman universe. Batman, and the movie, the book was called... The comic book was called Killing Joke, but most people don't know that whoever made that comic book, I don't know the name, they were big fans of this band, and they called the book or the cartoon or the comic book, they called it Killing Joke to honor this band, and they made the Joker look like the singer. Yeah, Alan Moore. Thanks, man. Big fan of this band. So this band is an extremely influential band, man. Nobody knows that. This influenced the heck out of Nine Inch Nails, the heck out of Fear Factory. Even Foo Fighters have quoted this band as a big influence. Man, and it's not a famous band, and it's still going. They released some new material like last year, and they released a brand new record like 6 years ago. They're still going. They're old as fuck. The singer is kind of like Jazz Coleman. He's probably like 60 something, almost 70, but they're still there. And this is a band that shits on politics and has been shitting on politics since forever, and that's why I love them. And they also shaped their sound from post-punk to industrial rock and then industrial metal. And like I said, they're still going. Another one of my favorite bands is Gary Newman. I don't have a single CD from that guy because they're impossible to find overseas. When I was in England, I saw some of his albums, and I didn't buy a single one of them. What an idiot. One of these days I'll go back and buy any albums from that guy. Also a massive fan, but I don't have a single record. This is the only Killing Joke record that I have because it's impossible to find records from this band overseas. Anyway, my The Cure collection. Yeah, I'm a big fan of The Cure. The Cure is one of those bands that a lot of people don't like because they only know their pop hits. Most of The Cure's hits are pop songs. I get that, and I like some of them, but The Cure is so much more than that. Listen to whatever they were doing in the 80s, and you'll find a greatly influential band, and then you'll find out why it's such an important band for music history. They influenced the heck out of everybody, right? And we're gonna start with this one. This is, I can't pronounce the name. Well, this is a Q&A, I don't give a shit. This is Pornography. That's the name of the album. This is the earliest album that I have, but they released like 5 records before this one. This is the darkest The Cure album. Listen to this and you'll be like, oh my god, is that really The Cure? Holy shit. Yeah. By the way, my favorite Killing Joke track is called Kings and Queens. It's on that album that I showed. And my favorite The Cure song is called We'll Get to It. So this is Pornography, great album. And then they released The Head on the Door. Okay, this is the album that threw the band into commercial success, because after this they released immediately the next year the singles album, which included Boys Don't Cry, and they made a video for that song in 1986. Even though that song came out in 1979, but nobody knew it. Nobody gave a fuck about The Cure back then. The Cure didn't become famous until these 2 records, Head on the Door and the singles album, which is called Staring at the Sea, and the cassette was called Standing at the Sea, or Standing on the Beach, or something like that, man. Yeah, but yeah, Boys Don't Cry, that fucking popular ass song, wasn't really that popular and famous until this record. Anyway, great records, both of them. And then Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. So yeah, this is around the era where The Cure started being known as a band that was like more on the pop rock side of things. They still had some really dark as fuck songs, like in this record, for example. Some of the songs are like, wow, dark as hell. But yeah, it mostly became a pop rock band until the next record. And a phenomenal record, by the way. This came out in 1987, and then Disintegration, The Cure's masterpiece. And yeah, who am I? Who am I kidding? This is also my favorite record from this band, one of my favorite music records of all time, and it includes my favorite song ever, which is called Untitled, the last song of this record. Man, great record. This returned The Cure to a more depressive sound, but then on their next record, which is Wish, they came back to their usual nowadays from back then, pop rock sound, and it stayed that way until today. They haven't released a new album. They said they were going to release a new album 10 years ago, and they still haven't released shit. This is Wish, great album, and that's the last one that I got until Greatest Hits, very popular album too, Greatest Hits. This is a double disc record, I think. Yeah, 2 CDs. Great album. I think this is one of the most popular The Cure records. I just bought it for fun. I didn't need it, but yeah, great album. And that's it. You know, I'd love to keep collecting The Cure records and get more as time progresses. Maybe one of these days. The Cure is probably my second favorite band of all time, believe it or not. Let's move on to some more random bands. This is a band that's so severely underappreciated and underrated, but they don't exist anymore, probably because they never made it to the mainstream. This is from Sweden, and it's called Misery Loves Company. Great industrial metal band. This is one of their first records. My favorite record by these guys is the next one. It's called Your Vision Was Never Mine to Share. Amazing record. I don't have it. I just happened to find this one while I was in England for like £1 in an old record store. And I got it. This is Not Like Them. And my favorite track by this band, it's called... it's one of those bands that... I can't decide. Probably No Exit, which is the other record that I mentioned. Yeah, great band, Misery Loves Company. Check this out if you like Ministry, Nine Inch Nails, bands like that. Fear Factory. You want to listen to this band, Misery Loves Company. Okay, moving on to Alice in Chains. This is the only record that I have of Alice in Chains. I never bought the others because for some reason they were all expensive always, and their music CDs were always being printed on Mexico, but they were all expensive for no reason. Maybe because the guy died, and I don't know, they increased the price to take advantage. You know, people in business, right? This is the EP, pretty famous EP from 1995, I think. No, yeah, 1993 or 5 anyway. So it only has 7 songs, and this is not their usual grunge sound. This is more like sad ballads and like hard rock, and it's different, right? My favorite track from this band of all time comes in this album, and it's called I Stay Away. I love it. Alice in Chains. I'm not the biggest fan, but I know some songs on the guitar, and it's my favorite album. So there you go. Okay. Moving on to another band that you guys are going to be very surprised that I was a big fan. I'm no longer a fan because the last albums have kind of like been... There's only like one song that I like and the rest are kind of like not for me. But you're going to be surprised that I'm a big fan of this band. And I have like 5 albums. Holy shit, I was a big fan when I was in my early 20s. And this is Placebo. Oh yeah! That guy. Pretty influential band. Indie rock. Alternative rock music, kind of like glam rock music. I love this band. What can I say? I grew up with these guys from my 20s, and I love them. Placebo, this is their first album, and quite possibly my favorite, though it's a big competition between these two. This is their second album. It's called Without You I'm Nothing. This is self-titled. It's just called Placebo. My favorite song of all time by these guys, though, it's called Bionic. And it comes in this album, this record. Yeah, oh my god, 2 masterpieces here, man. 2 fucking masterpieces, man. This is a great band, great, pretty unique sound. Unique singing, of course. I mean, this guy is known for his androgynous looks. He's bisexual. I mean, yeah. But I don't think he's on the politicized type of things, thankfully. But yeah, great band. And this is their third album, Black Market Music. Great album, some killer tracks in here. This is probably one of the saddest records in history, the history of music and rock music. And then they released One More with Feeling. This is the singles, the greatest hits album. Yeah, great album too. Wow, the back cover is showing some goods. I can't show it because YouTube. And finally, Mets. I skipped one album. It's called Without You. Sleeping with Ghosts. That was their 4th album. I don't have it. I have a pirated copy of it if you want to see it. Anyway, I don't have a original copy of that album. Maybe one day. That's a great album. And then Mets. Mets was also fantastic. I don't remember getting this album on day 1, but I got it pretty soon after its release. And then the next album after this one disappointed me, and so did the next one, and so did the last one that came out last year, or was it this year? I don't know. Only like 1-2 songs that are good, and the rest are kind of like, I don't know. They also kind of went to a slightly different direction. So that's Placebo. Oh man, this band, industrial metal band, industrial rock band, only released 3 albums before they broke up, and well, like I said, this is a Q&A I don't give a shit if I get demonetized because that's the name of the band, and that's Orgy. They're called Orgy. Orgy! Did you hear that, YouTube? Orgy! This is their first album called Candy Ass. That's the name. Man, I fucking love this band. I think I remember seeing them live on the Family Values tour that Korn organizes. I'm not really a Korn fan. I was back in the day on my teenhood. But yeah, Korn was a great band, not so much nowadays. But yeah, Orgy was one of those bands that got heavily featured in the Family Values live tour. And it's a great industrial rock album. If you're into that kind of music, this is a must listen. Their first album is a masterpiece. My favorite song by these guys, though, comes from the second album. It's called Where's Gerald? It's called Vapor Transmission. Fuck, man, this is another great record. I remember I got this record, and when this came out, I probably got it a few days, weeks, or months after its release, and it blew me the fuck away, man. I was like, man, this band did not disappoint. And then there was a third album and final album. Well, I think they released something new a few years ago, but it's just the singer with different guys, and they sound totally different, and I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the New Orgy, sorry. But their third album is called Punk Static Paranoia. I don't have it. Great record too, and I hope I can find it one day to own it. So that's Orgy for you. Believe it or not, I'm a fan. I'm not the biggest fan, but I'm a fan of New Order. That British band, pop band, that the members of Joy Division founded after Ian died. Yeah, I'm a fan. And I'm a big fan of their 80s and 90s music. Post 2000s, I'm not too sure. And this band's still going. I think they just released something new a few years ago. But, who am I kidding? I'm not really a big fan of this band, but I'm a huge fan of some of their songs. My favorite song of all time. Oh, by the way, this is called International. It's pretty much a collection of singles and hits. Pretty much like a greatest hits album. And this is the only album that I own. But my favorite song, oh my god, man. So fucking impossible. Maybe True Faith, but no Thieves Like Us. Oh, man. Oh, fuck, I can't choose, man. But New Order, great band. Pretty influential band, too. But yeah, I'm not the biggest fan. This band, man, I don't think... I dare you, I don't think a single one of you knows this band. It's even more obscure than the Deadlights. It's also an industrial rock, grunge type of band. Only released one album or two. I think only one album, and it's this one. And I found it also in England for like $1. And I had to pick it up because I knew this band from one of those magazines that I used to buy when I was little. They included a CD with a bunch of pretty obscure bands. I also found that about My Vitriol. A great band. I don't have a single music album from those guys, a single record, but I love to own any record from these guys. My Vitriol, great band. But the one that I found over there was Vex Red. Vex Red. I'm pretty sure you have no fucking clue who these guys are. Amazing band. This is another strongly recommended band. It's kind of like industrial grunge. Let's leave it at that. Great band. And there's a song called Itch. And that's my favorite from this band. And I'm pretty sure they only released this one album. The album's called Start With a Strong and Persistent Desire. Wow, pretty philosophical name, huh? Yeah, Vex Red, everybody, check this band out. I think they're trying to make a comeback. But yeah, another band I have no albums from. And oh man, two bands. I don't have a single album from these two bands, and they are in my top 10. I've always struggled getting albums from these guys. One of them is called The Gathering. But I only got like this band with Anneke van Giersbergen as the singer. They got a male singer before, which kind of sucked. And then their third singer is another girl. I think she joined in 2006 or 2008. Not a fan of that either. So I only like The Gathering with Anneke. This is a band from Netherlands, Holland. and I don't have a single CD, and it breaks my heart because, man, I'd love to own CDs by these guys, but I can't find them anywhere because it's also such an obscure band, not as obscure as Vex fucking Red, but obscure nonetheless. And the other band that I really, really like is Dead Sea. Dead Sea. Let's call it Dead S-Y, Dead Sea. They only released 2 albums before the band went nowhere. They've been trying to reunite too, but fuck, man. I don't think they're gonna make a big comeback or anything. I don't have a single album by these guys. Also would love to own them. Late 90s, early 2000s, these guys, Dead Sea, one of my 10 favorite bands of all time, not a single album. Honorable mentions. And now, oh man. Okay, let's go on with this guy. This is Mortis. Check this out. This guy is like pretty gothic, but this is one of those artists that release every album is kind of different. And I knew some songs by this guy, and I really liked them. So I saw this for like $1 at the same record store I bought Vex Red and other albums for like $1. And I picked it up in expectations, it will have some of those tracks or the music will sound the same. But this particular release is called The Stargate. It's pretty fucking weird. I don't even know what kind of music this is. And to be honest, it's not great. It's okay, I guess. But yeah, Mortis. I don't know why I have this in my collection. And the last 2 albums I want to talk about are... Oh man, I love this fucking band. Also kind of grunge, alternative music type of band. This is L7. I got this L7. This is called The Beauty Process. Triple Platinum. No, they didn't get a triple platinum. They were just making fun of that. And this is L7. Very influential band from the 80s and 90s. They quit in the early 2000s. They disbanded and they came back a few years ago with some new stuff. And their new song is fucking badass. This is an all-girl band. And this is my all-girl favorite band of all time, L7. Massive fan of these guys. These girls, I mean. My favorite song by these guys is called Drama. And it's on this album. Yeah. Give you a listen to these girls. They are so like... some of these bands, they have the attitude, They had the attitude that I grew up with. The anti-political attitude, the anarchist attitude, the anti-system attitude. That's what the 90s stood for, in my opinion. All these metal bands, these new metal bands, these grunge bands, these industrial bands, That's where I grew up with. Maybe that's... What I'm trying to say is that music shaped my mentality. And all of these bands influenced my style and probably my philosophical beliefs and shit. That's why I'm like this. JRPGs have nothing to do with it. Music has a lot to do with it. That's why I wanted to make this... I want to show my music collection so you would understand a little bit more about why I'm so edgy. Maybe. I don't like that word, edgy. People say I'm an edgelord. I'm not really, but yeah. And this is Bricks Are Heavy. This comes with the super popular single by these guys, Pretend We're Dead. I think it was featured in Grand Theft Auto Vice City, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of those games. But yeah, whatever small popularity this band got was precisely thanks to that game and that song, Pretend We're Dead. Amazing band. I'd love to own more CDs by these girls. I think they have like 5 records, but I only have these 2. L7. Yeah, badass band, great band. Moving on, I have more. This is a compilation of punk rock music. I like punk rock music. And you'll see a couple of more examples later on. Damn, can't believe I forgot about these ones. And this is Punk-Karama Volume 2. This is the only one that I got because all the others were kind of expensive, but this one was on sale on a record store one day for like $2 and brand new, and I bought it. And yeah, I didn't become a fan of a single band that's in here, but I like some of these songs a lot. Like there's Bad Religion, Millencolin, Poison Idea, Pennywise, Pulley. That Pulley song, Cash It In, I fucking love it. The Humpers, No Effects, Rancid. Yeah, great album. Let's continue. Oh, this is totally random. I think I got this also in England for like £1. It's one of those. So as you see, when I went to England, I got a bunch of CDs. This is one of them. This is a band called Cold. It's good. I didn't become a fan. I've known this band for a long time, but I never saw any records anywhere. So when I saw this, I just had to pick it up, and for $1. And to be honest, you know, it's a good band, it's a good album, but I think I only remember like 2 songs here. Yeah, I didn't become a fan of this band. Let's leave it at that. Cold. The album is called 13 Ways to Bleed on Stage. That's a great name. Oh man. Let's go back to the past. To one of the oldest bands that I like. I think I was 11 years old when my brother and I became huge fans of this band. And me too. And then a few years later, I got into 9 Inch Nails and Deftones, and I gave up on this band. But I'm still a fan, who am I kidding? This is part of my childhood, and that is Guns N' fucking Roses, man. And I had all CDs. I had the first 2, Appetite for Destruction and Lies, but I sold them. I don't know why. But the ones I kept are Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, which are Guns N' Roses' best albums of all time. Fight Me, I Don't Care, masterpieces, and I love them. I think my favorite Guns N' Roses song is probably Estranged. Bit of an overrated single hit song, but what can I do? I love that fucking song, Estranged. Guns N' fucking Roses, man, forever. I don't really care for them anymore. And then I got the Spaghetti's Incident, which was back then in the 90s. It was the last album before they reunited like 10,000 years later. This is an album which includes only covers, and my favorite here is Down on the Farm. Fucking love that song, Down on the Farm. And then I Don't Care About You. Holy shit, great cover album, great covers here. Guns N' Roses forever. Here's another unusual band that I used to love passionately in the 90s, just like Guns N' Roses. But then I outgrew and I outgrew them. I think that's how it goes. They released an album called American Idiot, and I got a pirated copy of that album, and I really enjoyed it. But after a year or probably less, I stopped caring for the band. That's Green Day. I have these 2 albums here, Dookie and Insomniac. Dookie was their 3rd album, Insomniac was their 4th album. And man, this is a masterpiece. This fucking album is one of my favorite music albums of all time. I know every single fucking song in this album on the guitar. Most of this, I know them too. But yeah, this is a dark as hell album, and I love it because of its messages, its lyrics, the sound, the guitars felt darker. This is Green Day's darkest album, and this is from the 90s. And then after this, they kind of started going into the pop, punk music scene, and I lost track. And yeah, my favorite song by these guys, probably FOD, which comes in this one. Yeah, the last track of the album, but the whole, this album is in its entirety is a masterpiece. Green Day, believe it or not, I was a big fan, and I'm still a big fan of those 2 records. I'm not really a fan of the band anymore. And last but not least, well, one of the 3 bands that made me play the guitar, and made me pick up the guitar and start learning the guitar. This is a really obscure band, man. Have you ever heard of it? I'm pretty sure. Remember Vex Red? Remember the Deadlights? I'm pretty sure they're more popular than this. These guys, who the fuck are these guys? Nirvana? I don't know what the fuck. Have you heard these guys? Pretty obscure band from the 90s. Yeah, kind of like a grunge band. Yeah, this is Bleach, their first album. Badass album. Pretty unique sound. It sounds nothing like the rest of the albums by this band. But yeah, Bleach, their first album from 1989. And then, of course, who doesn't like or own Nevermind? This is the special edition. This was a gift from my buddy Oscar on one of my birthdays from like 6 or 7 years ago. This is a special edition with 2 discs, with some B-sides and rare B-sides, the Smart Studio sessions, the Boombox rehearsals, and the BBC sessions. Tons of content in this release. Yeah, Nevermind is one of the most influential music albums of all time. I like it. It's not my favorite record by these guys, but, well, I think it's severely overrated. especially the title. I mean, the track "Smells Like Teen Spirit." I hate that song, man. Like it's like "Creep" from Radiohead, or "November Rain" by Guns N' Roses. Like fuck, man. Or that Aerosmith track. I used to be a big fan of Aerosmith. I don't have a single record of them anymore. I sold them. I actually traded those records, my Aerosmith records, for Guns N' Roses records with a cousin back in the day, like 25 years ago. Oh man, good old days. Anyway, yeah, what's that song from Aerosmith? I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. Oh man, it's like, it smells like Teen Spirit. Like, fuck that song. But my favorite Nirvana song is the second track from that album. It's called In Bloom. And I know it on the guitar, and it's fucking badass. I love it. And I have Incesticide, which is also kind of like a B-sides and rarities album. Songs that were recorded before but never released on the first two albums. Incesticide. I think this is my favorite Nirvana album of all time. I love it. Great album. It features Aneurysm, the last song, which is one of my favorites from this band. Nirvana. Yeah, the Kings of Grunge. Though I don't know which grunge band I like more out of the big four. I guess nowadays I'll have to go with Pearl Jam. I don't have a single record. I used to have them, but I don't. That sucks. Pearl Jam. I'd love to own Vitalogy, which is my favorite album, alongside with No Code. Yeah. And last but not least, the only 3 cassettes that I have. I used to have a lot of cassettes, but I don't anymore because I sold them back then to buy CDs. Like if I had a cassette, I will get rid of the cassette, sell it somewhere, and use the money to buy the same record, but on a CD, okay? But these are 3 records from my uncle that he had in his collection, and I just grabbed them because he wasn't doing. I mean, they were just gathering dust, and my 3 cassettes are from The Cure. This is Disintegration. This cassette was my introduction to the band, so of course I had to own it. Has his name on it, BHV. That's my uncle. Anyway, so I grabbed this. I also have it on CD, I showed it before. And then there's these 2, which is a live album called Entreat, and then Mixed Up, which is a bunch of remixes. Yeah, 2 cassettes. They aren't that relevant to me, but you know, they're part of my childhood, so I decided to keep them. Yeah, The Cure. I used to have more cassettes. I have Insomniac by Green Day on cassette. I had some Motley Crue CDs and cassettes too, when Motley Crue was great. Yeah, but those are my only 3 CDs by The Cure. Maybe I should own some 9 Inch Nails cassettes or LPs or some Deftones. I don't know, because they're my favorite bands. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's it. I'm not gonna show my music CDs from JRPGs. They come in special editions. Maybe one day. But that's it. That's my entire music CD collection, non-video game related. That's it. I'm pretty sure I'm not forgetting anything now. Thanks for watching.